Following up with sidekicks here, if you watched my HawkSchlock the other day on it, you heard me talk a little bit about Mattress Mac, Jim McIngvale, the mattress king of Houston. He was in his late 20s, he was depressed, living at home, when he went all in on selling mattresses. It made him a lot of money. By the early 90s, he's at a anti-drug deal with Chuck Norris. He ends up donating about 50 grand to Chuck's cause, and the two become friends. And then they're having a conversation, and Chuck's wanting to do a project that's not the, at that time, traditional R-rated Chuck Norris type film. He wants to do something more of a family affair.
As a martial artist, I've been wanting to do a film like Sidekicks for a long time.
And Mattress Mac says, hey man, how much money would it take for me to just buy out the current investor you're having trouble with? He signed him a check right there for, I think, 250 grand, takes over Sidekicks, and he funded the entire $9 million it took to produce Sidekicks, and then he goes beyond that. He funds the entire $7 million in coin that it took to do the prints and advertising. So that's your 35mm prints that went to theaters. It's your posters, your TV spots, your trailers. Beyond all that normal prints and advertising stuff, we get into the grassroots element of marketing Sidekicks. I'm talking creation of a training video tie-in with Chuck. Mattress Mac rents a Learjet and has his wife take Chuck on a tour across the United States. In the mornings, Chuck is doing local schools, TV and radio, and in the evenings, he's doing events at local movie theaters, including ones in Chandler, Arizona, leading me to bring in my buddy Nick, the birthday boy, Gonzi Supreme. How you doing, man?
So I don't have any of the fancy professional light that Hawk does, you know. I've just got a nice, you know, LED, like 9-watt bulb here. You know, shooting on my phone, you know, inside camera, obviously.
I'm slumming it comparatively today. I only got one camera.
Only the best for, you know, HawkSchlock. Only the best.
So yeah, you, Sidekicks comes to your town. You weren't in New York at this time. You were living here, right?
Yeah, I can't believe I had forgotten about the story. What had triggered this whole thing in the first place was when Hawk was talking about what the next movie was going to be, and the next movie we found out was going to be Sidekicks. And I was like, why do I remember such a forgotten movie? And I was like, I remember this obscure movie because Chuck Norris came to my elementary school to promote this piece of shit.
Hey, this is a kids program, and we're talking about Sidekicks, which I believe got a very solid 2 Winonas and a smirk on my Winona Ryder scale of schlock.
This beautiful piece of schlock. It was because we had a radio station. All the kids were involved, so all the 6th graders, should I say. All the 6th graders were involved, and the 6th graders were allowed to basically either be DJs, voice talent, or engineers where you cue up the music, and that's what I did. I was an engineer.
Some students are finding that they like the technical side better.
I'm kind of shy and I don't like to really talk, and you know, everyone's gonna hear me, so I figured I might as well be an engineer. I like that kind of stuff, you know.
Looking through this old footage, I mean, I think it's one of the things that I appreciate about our friendship so much is our continued slavery to our passions, me with film and filmmaking.
Okay, this movie, and we need to focus on over here.
And you, I'm looking at this footage, and it's not so different then as it is now watching you during quarantine post your beats and mixes that you've been doing.
And so I got to meet a few celebrities, but like celebrities from the country music world, because the music teacher was involved somehow with the country music industry, and so she had connects, so she would always have random country people, you know, come over. And I think at one point she got Garth Brooks. I know that I met Reba McEntire. She was really nice.
These budding journalists are also landing interviews with some pretty famous people with the help of their teacher.
Well, we've done Hugh Downs from 2020, Garth Brooks, press conference backstage at America West Arena, Kenny Rogers, he was so handsome.
So I assume that Chuck Norris, you know, was tied in with that world somehow, or someone knew someone's agent, whatever.
Well, my guess is, since he was doing, you know, the local radio and TV in the mornings, he probably had some kind of setup at one of the local country radio stations, who then hooked your teacher up.
So they got wind of our school and decided to, I guess, put it on his itinerary. And so, so the music teacher basically was like, yeah, we got Chuck Norris. And I was just like, wow, why would he come here? And so Anyway, so she's like, yeah, we have him and we're going to interview him. And I was just like, excuse me? I was like, we're going to interview Chuck Norris? And she's like, yeah, we're going to interview Chuck Norris. And I was like, oh. I was like, at the time I was into Taekwondo, so, you know, I was big into all that, you know, Bruce Lee and all of them. And so this was just like unheard of. I was like, Chuck Norris? Come on. And sure enough, I found out that that's what was going to happen. And we were all going to, at least the people that were involved with the radio were going to get to go and interview him and stuff. So day comes, local news is there, interviewing people and stuff like that. This was like a huge thing. Again, like this was probably the biggest event, you know, to happen in Chandler, you know, Arizona.
I love that she's going through all the famous names, all the country singers. Kenny Rogers was so gorgeous and all this, but you kids are keeping her straight. You're letting her know that the big deal was Chuck Norris himself coming to town.
Kenny Rogers, he was so handsome. That was backstage at the Celebrity Theater. Reba McEntire. Goodness, help me out, kids. Chuck Norris came here to our school last year. How could I forget Chuck Norris?
Yeah, so day comes or whatever, and we get ready and all that. We were going to go, and I don't exactly remember how, but somehow she had gotten word back to us, the one that the music teacher that was running the radio station, that we weren't going to interview Chuck Norris. And I was just like, what? I was just like, no, this isn't happening. I was like, what are you talking about? So it turns out ends up getting her daughter, who's in her 20s, and her daughter were going to interview Chuck Norris.
Yeah, she seems like your typical failed country singer 101, looking to add as many 90s incarnation of selfies that she can to her her resume.
And we could listen along with the rest of the students over the intercom system or over the radio. And I was just like, wow, 90s Carol Baskins.
I mean, I'd say I can't believe this, but I can, because it falls right in line with her resume of selfies she's taken with the, gorgeous Kenny Rogers.
He was so handsome.
Yeah, so we didn't get to interview him, but we did have an assembly, and so there was an assembly, and he came up to the mic or whatever, and all the kids were going crazy and everything like that, and he's basically like, yeah, stay in school, don't do drugs, and go watch Sidekicks this weekend. So
I'm hoping Chuck at least brings a couple kids on stage to demonstrate how to beat the absolute snot out of a 10-year-old.
He did. And some kid, they had like a questionnaire or something afterward, and some kid asked him to do like a demonstration, so he gave just like a quick kind of sort of high kick. So I didn't get to interview Chuck Norris, but I did get to see Chuck Norris perform a high kick in front of 200 kids at 50 yards away. So I mean, that qualifies, right?
I'd say it's an anticlimactic ending to a great story, but I mean, it's Chuck Norris in Chandler. This is what I expected.
Jonathan Brandis was also supposed to be there as part of this promotional tour, and for whatever reason, he wasn't. And, you would think, out of the two, that Chuck Norris, being the bigger star, would be the one more likely to flake, but nah, you could tell that Brandis was a diva here. May God rest his soul.
You don't seem bitter at all, man. Happy birthday.
No, I'm not bitter. Not bitter. Seeing Chuck Norris do a sidekick at 50 yards, just as good.
At least you have great thanks to, the teacher for providing these great opportunities of disappointment.
He was so handsome.
Fucking Miss Mitten, man. 90s Carol Baskins. I just think I deserved, the thumbs up from Chuck Norris more than Vince Vaughn.
That's why I'm so proud of Sidekicks. It brings out the winner in all of us.
HawkSchlock,